Hello and welcome along to another end of season review from this FM22 One Club story from Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. It's part 80 of the Tudor Times today, and we are back to look back at season 9, which I think in any save we've done on this channel might be the most remarkable, because in record time, starting as a semi-professional club, we have reached the Premier League. 9 seasons. And we are going to be playing Premier League football in the 10th. It is an incredible achievement. After sneaking into the playoffs on the final day, after getting completely outclassed in the final last time out, we somehow make it. And today, as well as looking at the season review and the normal stuff, we've got to have a massive discussion about the summer, because I hadn't prepared for this at all. Add to that, it's already June. I just don't know what we're going to do. Do I put up with the same championship squad and hope that we can survive for 1 year? Or do I try and overhaul the squad and get in Premier League talent? I just don't know. If you're looking forward to finding out what we decide, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. I hope you've enjoyed a blockbuster week from this save, and obviously this is a great way to start the next one. Transfer specials and transfer deadline date to follow the next two. I'm pretty sure they'll be dramatic as well. We've got a big finish to the season in the head coach, which you can find up in the eye above. So subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on to stay up to date with it all. But let's go first, as we always do in this save, to the traditional end of season review. We're back immediately after the final that we saw in the last episode, and we have now got to prepare for the unthinkable. So we'll be back tomorrow morning to review what's been going on and then try and make some sense of our summer plans, because the ones we had initially are all ripped up now. And here it is, the end of season review for Hemel Hempstead Town. No trophy. I know there's a little glitch in this year's game when you win the playoffs, and you saw it on the manager performance where it says they're glad you've won the championship, and it's just not right. But we're promoted, and that is as good as a trophy this season. It's an incredible effort. Let's have a look at the new arrivals, because I think it's fair to say we were surprised by the quality we could bring in this year. We had a new record signing who's barely featured and will be a star in the future. And we've got tons of players in for next to nothing in terms of investment. Josh O'Connor, what an addition in January. 180 grand, scored 6 goals, made a massive impact. Christian Flores came in as a winger for 130 grand. That was compensation. Look at the quality he's produced. He's been a brilliant player this year. Daniel Georgie on a free. He's going to get his release clause exercised for sure. 1.8 million. It'll be a good profit regardless. Rodell Richards, not a massive star but had an impact still. Leo Hubert came to the party when it mattered later on in the year. Terry Clark, record signing for 450 grand. He's going to go a long way in this game. And then Bajatic, what a solid addition at the back with loan players that came in and made an impact too. The ins this season were a big step up. Not good enough to get promoted, but they've somehow managed to do it. And I talk about my club Luton Town in real life. If you've got a winning atmosphere in the club, an awful lot can be achieved. In terms of the outs, maybe shows a bit more of the upgrades we've had. We sold Bullock in the summer and Mateus in January. Millions into the club. Daniel Senior for 3.7 million. Still probably the most ridiculous deal we'll do in this save. And in some of the League 1 and League 2 stars moved on. The likes of Javan Malcolm, who was top scorer in League 2 for us. Alador Hamilton, Arthur Reed, even crucial players in last season's team move on and go down the leagues, which shows the upgrades we've made. And then loans out. There's a few we've got to keep an eye on here, because some of them played really well, and there's some that'll be looking to make the step up when they return next season. But with us going to the Premier League, it's hard to see any of them breaking in. In terms of the season results, we snuck 6th place on the final day of the season. Probably the most pleasing thing was averaging over 8,500 fans at home, and Ricky J. Jones broke goal scoring records. 38 for him in a championship, including the playoffs, and he was a key part of this success yet again. Don't forget, despite what we achieved this year, we had that ridiculously bad run in September, where we had 6 games without a win, 5 of them successive defeats. Don't forget, before the final day, when we snuck into the playoffs, we had 5 games without a win and only picked up 2 points. It's not like we've been consistent this year all the time. We've had a couple of little winning runs, but we've had some poor spells as well. We get in despite 14 defeats on 72 points, and that's got to be one of the lowest totals anyone's been promoted on yet again. But to beat 2 teams in the playoffs that finished on 88 points, and what were the top 2 going into the final day of the season, an incredible effort, a wonderful season. The FA Cup didn't matter. The League Cup didn't really matter. Because if you'd have offered us this deal at the start of the season, we'd have snapped your hand off for Premier League football. Our biggest win was in December against Sheffield Wednesday, a 5-0 victory which we saw on camera against one of our head coach clubs. Jones scored 2, Doyle, Stutter and Hazeman got the others. Away at Blackburn, a 4-0 victory. That was the game that ended our big winless run. 4 second half goals which did the job and got a convincing win. And it probably was the most important game of the season, because it was at such a crucial time after a winless run. To then go and beat the team who I think was second at the time does make a massive difference and gave us the confidence back. And then look at goal of the season. How could it be any other? Kamari Doyle with a goal in extra time in the playoff final at Wembley Stadium. I mean, you can't argue with it, can you? It was a 25-yard curling finish. It was beautifully placed. And in the end, it was the goal that sealed Premier League football. So no arguments there at all. Interestingly, our reputation hasn't gone up. So when's the last time you saw a 2.5-star reputation team in the Premier League? That's going to be a very difficult challenge, as well as financially, to compete with some of the big boys. The sponsorship has gone up tenfold due to becoming an established championship club. The broadcast revenue the same, the corporate's up, the prize money's up, and the matchday revenue is up as well. Shirt selling is still Ricky J. Jones at the top. And he's probably the only one we trust in the Premier League from this team. Let's see what the best 11 is. I am pretty much in agreement with that. I think we need to get some strength in defence. We know that for sure. The 2 strikers, if Stutter could be as good as Jones, we'd be delighted. And in midfield, it could have been anyone. But Georgie and Flores, the 2 they've gone for. Let's get through the accolades. We do win Championship Manager of the Year. I don't think there's anything unjust in that. And we did get Manager of the Month back in January. But the playoffs, we deserve it purely for that. Georgie's rated signing of the season. Ricky and Egan sharing other awards. Kamari Doyle got 20 assists too. That got slipped under the radar a little bit. 10 Man of the Match awards for Ricky J. Jones. And Terry Clark's the new record transfer. Mateus the new record transfer out for 4 million. And Ricky J. Jones breaks the league goal scoring record. He continues to deliver every time he steps up. It's history in the making as we dare to dream. We reach Premier League football in the 10th season. And that, for a semi-pro club, I've never won the Premier League with a semi-pro club. And now, we've got 6 months to get to the top of the Premier League. There might be a relegation to start when we get into the top flight. But to get there this early is fabulous in itself. So let's finish that off. We've got lots to get through. And then we've got to talk about what we're going to do this summer. Because I have no idea how we're going to compete at the top level. Certainly with the squad we've got. And even with the budget we've got too. So 6th in the Championship, our best ever league finish. And this is again part of the glitch. 72 points is a record low to win the Championship title, but we didn't. We finished 6th and won the playoffs. So there's something wrong in there. Ricky J. Jones average rating record. The best 11 sees Bullock, Bennett Sharif and Albi Armin come in. The best 11 of previous years sees a few players that have retired. The season review was brilliant as we know. Great to see some old names popping up there. The club vision, it better be fight bravely against relegation. If it's anything above that, then our chairman's gone cuckoo. Let's have a look. Nathan Swales, fight bravely against relegation. We've got a training facilities and youth facilities upgrade to come. We're going to try and get a stadium. We're going to try and get the youth recruitment done. We're going to try and get everything as good as it can be. And at least there's no pressure, because I really don't see how we survive. And I know I said it in a couple of previous seasons where we have stayed up in other leagues, but this is a ridiculous step up, and we're nowhere near equipped to compete. We basically need Ricky to nick us counter-attacking goals. The squad dynamics are exceptional, and that is a huge part of the success. We talked in our sort of FM Insight, our training guides, why this is so crucial. And it's proven to be the case again. So if we can keep those leaders in the club, if we can keep succeeding, who knows? Sky might still be the limit, or we'll come crashing back down to earth next year. We'll see. No news on the stadium there. I might skip ahead one day because Kenilworth Road as it stands doesn't meet the requirements for a Premier League ground. We haven't yet got the option to buy a new stadium or build a new stadium. So I wonder if there's going to be a short-term upgrade this summer and then maybe something bigger that we can go for in the future. So in terms of the expectations, we're happy to fight bravely. We'll do the end of season team meeting in a moment. We don't expect to stay up. But there's the confirmation that Jones wins Player of the Year, wins the Golden Boot, and we've won Manager of the Year. Not the best win ratio, not the best success rate, but we get ourselves promoted. And as a result, we are now a Premier League football club. Ricky is in the Championship Team of the Year, no doubts about that. So let's just skip ahead to see if there's stadium news, then we'll be back in a minute to make our summer plans. And there it is, almost immediately, 2 bits of news in fact. So the stadium has been expanded, that explains why we couldn't do anything. Undersoil heating, the 12,500 capacity, and it'll be done by the first international break. That's a pretty good effort. So we're going to be staying at Kenilworth Road for now. What I hope, with that essential work being done, is then next summer we can ask to build a new stadium. And if we stay up in the Premier League, that'll be one hell of a stadium. If not, I guess we can stay here for another year or two. We've also got an improved youth category rating, which basically just means that we're moving into them now. And it's something we need to be able to rely on moving forward. So hopefully that will become a positive in years to come. But let's address the main elephant in the room. We have got this squad once we put the unavailable players back in. And we've somehow got to try and compete in the Premier League next year. We only just made the Championship playoffs. So what do we do when 10, 12, 13 sides are just going to walk all over us every week? How do we keep morale up? How do we keep the players? I mean, the highest paid player at the club is on £6,000 a week. We've also got the added problem now. We renewed the loans of Thornhill and Egan because they were the only 2 that accepted it first time around. And we were trying to do the same with Bullock and Mateus and that moving forward. But now we're a Premier League side. We only get 2. So we're not going to be able to bring the others back on loan. Okay, we're a Premier League team. We might be able to get some of them permanently. But we're actually going to be weaker than we would have been if we'll be in a Championship. And that's something that we've got to address. We've got some fringe players that need to leave the club. The likes of Rodell Richards. The likes of some of the youngsters that haven't developed as well. We've got 3 players we need to tie down within this current wage structure. But anyone else now who wants one, I look at people who are going to be out of contract next year. Ronnie Stutter, a striker, currently on £4,000 a week. How much is he going to want to be a regular starter for us? 22.5. And even if we get that down to 15, we're talking about 3 times the current wage structure for our current players. So I'm stuck between 2 schools of thought here. Do we completely overhaul the squad, not offer any more new deals? Because if we do overhaul the squad, most of these won't then be anywhere near the quality to play for us. Then we can just sell them and take the money. Or do we go for the keeping these players, giving them the minute upgrades they need? It will still be the lowest wage bill in the league. But then except we're going to come back down, try and work in the 35% wage drop if they get relegated. It's a real dilemma and I don't know which one is the best option. I guess probably what we can do is change our scouting policy now, have a look at what players come in over the next couple of weeks and then make a decision just before it ticks over to Premier League football in 3 weeks' time. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on this because it's something I'm really stuck on. We're fortunate that a few players are going to be here regardless and Ricky's tied down for an additional year. And that's part of the problem, I guess. If you look at this squad now and say, who is a Premier League footballer, even if we get the reports up, I don't think there's many that are Premier League standard here. Ricky J. Jones, I trust him at any level. Scott Egan, I trust to do a job in the Premier League in that holding role, and he's got that physicality too. In terms of the rest of the side, maybe Hubert, maybe Flores, and maybe Albi Armin purely on he's an average left back, but I don't know that we'd get a big upgrade within budget. We're talking about, at a push, 5 players in a whole squad that I feel could compete in the Premier Division. That is really not a good position to be in. We definitely have to get the upgrading goal now. G-Cock cannot line up in the Premier League. But I look at it the other way again, and this is where my mind is playing tricks on me. If next season we walk into the Premier League and Camoy Richardson, Louis Bennett-Sharif, Terry Clark, the youngster we got in January, and even some of the other younger midfielders, if they come in and play 25-30 Premier League games, they probably reach their potential. Yes, they get beat every week. Yes, we get relegated. But what a squad we'll then have when we come back down. This is going to take an awful long time to decide, isn't it? I'm going to have nightmares this summer. But I'm interested to get your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know which option would you take if it were you. Because I don't think we're going to get the standard of upgrade we need to compete. And with that in mind, do I just stick with the squad I've got? I really don't know, and I could do with your help on this. The problem we've got in terms of recruitment, if we go down that path, yes, we can use the director of football suggestions, but he's not got the greatest knowledge of world football, is that we've been scouting as if we were going to be a championship club next year. So generally what I do here, and we'll talk a little bit about it as it's an end of season review, is between sort of the January window closing and maybe mid-April when the youth intakes come in, I get my general focuses for players under 25 playing in the lower leagues in England. So I'll normally look at players that are based at most in League One if we're a championship side. We might also have some running in Scotland and things like that, which is something we're going to have to improve on here. And we try and look for under 25s, under 26 at most. And that's what we do between the end of January and the start or middle of April. Then we have a look at under 19s from Premier League and Championship clubs that are going to be out of contract at the end of the year or that might be available. And then during the summer, we focus on set positions where we need to improve. So now it'd say be goalkeeper. But all of the scout reports we've got are people that can come in and play Championship football, not ones that can come in and play in the Premier League. You've also got to bear in mind, and I might have to show you the scouted screen for this, our current recruitment package is fairly reserved because of our financial position. We're realistically going to be going up to European or world searches now. So we could go in 3 months' time and have 10 brilliant South American wonder kids available. So if you sign players now in June and get them prepared for pre-season, are you then going to be replacing them already when you get to August? There's so many uncertainties here. I mean, of the players we've scouted, we've got a few good ones. We've been looking at players like Bekboev for a while. David Keegan we tried to sign last summer. He went to Middlesbrough. They got relegated from the Championship, so he might be available when he ticks over to League One. Even some of the ones we've looked at in the lower leagues. If I get the ones who are available for transfer up, we looked at the likes of Jamie McKenzie in January, a decent left back, but is he going to come and join us now? I don't know. Is he going to be good enough ever for the Premier League when he looks like that at 24? Is left back even a priority position? I just don't know how to judge it. It's going to be such a difficult summer. I think what we'll do in the short term is get the scouting budget pumped up to do world football searches. We'll go and look for as many players as we can. But realistically, I think the truth is we're going to be stuck with a lot of this squad. And we're just going to have to try and beat the lowest record points total in Premier League history. Hope Ricky nicks a few goals. I won't sell him at any price. And then see what others we get offers for that are too good to refuse. Don't forget, if clubs turn up with 10 or 15 million for the likes of, say, Richardson, Flores, Huber, maybe we sell them and then we can look at a Premier League squad. But the budget we were given of 27 million, in the grand scheme of things, is not a lot at Premier League level. It's probably getting us 3 players that can potentially play Premier League standard, unless we can find some gem experienced players on a free. And that then brings in another option. Do we get in a few really experienced players, good, solid old Premier League heads that can maybe play Championship top level if need be, and then try and help these young lads develop? I don't know what's going to happen yet. I think it's going to be a very long, difficult summer. And I don't genuinely know if next season's transfer special in a couple of days' time is going to be a big, exciting one where I've got loads of introductions and loads of big money signings. Or will it be, these are the 3 players I could find to join our current squad? I hope you'll join me in a couple of days to find out. I'd love to know what you think we should do. But either way, the 100 million we're going to get next season will change this club's fortunes forever. And if we come straight back down in 20th place, then get back to the Premier League within 2 seasons after that, we're still par for the course. So hopefully you're looking forward to it. If you did enjoy this episode, please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the stadium changes, the facility upgrades. Everything's ticking along quite nicely now. The facilities are getting there, and when the next upgrade's done, we'll have excellent training facilities, poor or adequate youth facilities, but now we can start to work up that stuff. The youth facilities, the recruitment, the junior coaching, because if we can produce our own players that can compete at the top level, solves all the problems that we've got with recruitment. The stadium expansion will get us to the minimum 12,500. I can't wait for that at Kenilworth Road. If you want to stay up to date though and find out which way the transfer special goes next time out, then please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content. We've got a tense finish to the season in the head coach. You can find that one up in the eye above. It'll be back tomorrow before we're here in 2 days' time with a summer transfer special and our Premier League debut ahead of schedule at Hemel Hempstead Town. There's links to the FM Insight playlist I mentioned earlier up in the eye above. A massive thank you for your support with all the playlists. There's also a link there to the Twitch channel and the football podcast. But just above my head now, I'll put a link to those guides and tutorials. Please do give them a try if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time for a summer transfer special and a Premier League debut at Hemel Hempstead Town. We are not prepared for this.